Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so it's like 3 a.m. and I'm up. I made them a rare, well, it's not so rare, but made the mistake of going to sleep like around 6:30 in the afternoon, and woke up like around 1, fully rested and wide awake. So I did the whole shower thing, made myself some cereal, and pretend it's like 7 in the morning. So this is the start of my day. But I had some things that I wanted to share. Not share, nah, just thoughts on my mind, like always with therapy sessions. And um, as I've been talking a lot about God, talking a lot about things that matter to me, talking about stuff that would put me in a position to where you would look at me and say, yo, that person's at a certain standard. He holds himself to a certain standard. I want to encourage people to understand that there is no holy person that I know of that isn't susceptible to great evils and great temptations, great setbacks, or what have you. Old trends, old ways that they'll have to overcome. And I think the part of this journey that we're on is understanding that, you know, what I've learned in my walk in this regard is when you mess up, you clean up. If you fall off of a wagon, you get back on it. The real sin is staying in that space where you've quit and then you don't want to, get back up. You don't want to compete when you've let it go, when you've no longer tried to hold yourself to those standards, when you let those standards just ultimately go by the wayside and accept your fate is lesser than or what have you. I think the point is to see that it is a journey and that perfection, from my perspective, perfection isn't reachable. You can't become perfect, so that means you're always going to be susceptible to making mistakes or just choosing the wrong thing or not remembering your why. Sometimes not remembering your why can be the very thing that keeps you from doing the right thing, because you'll have all the math in place. Your calculator will work. You'll know why you shouldn't do certain things as it pertains to what can happen if it goes wrong, but you want to know the fullness of why you choose not to want those consequences and the fullness of what those consequences mean to you, your why. And that's where I think I can grow. Remembering my why all of the time, so that when I find myself in positions to choose wrong, the why will be the reason I choose right. That why needs to be on your focus for whatever it is that your purpose is, for whatever it is your walk of life is at this moment. When you find yourself falling off the wagon or you find yourself messing up, your why is going to be what keeps you true. Your why is going to be your true north. And I don't think there's a soul who's ever walked the earth that hasn't been susceptible to some setback of some way or some sort. In many of our walks, it's considered, don't be of sin, don't walk in sinful ways. But I think the misconception is that you can't come back from that. The misconception is that once you go over there, now you can't find your way back to reason. Now you can't find balance. And that's just, that's the very nature of what keeps you over there. It's the initiation of being in those dark spaces and staying there because you believe you have to or what have you. Because you believe there's no other way. The choice is always yours. Your why is your choice. You've chosen to do something else based on your reason. So let that reason guide you back to what it is that your purpose is about and what it is that being on that wagon is about for you. I don't want people to look at me and say, well, because he has the wisdom of such, these different things, that he lives his life a certain way and therefore he's above reproach. So when I see him, he's a holy guy. I think that's the wrong approach when you're looking at anybody who's providing you advice. Human beings are hypocrites a lot of the time. Sometimes the best wisdom comes from people who just applied the wisdom the wrong way or didn't apply wisdom at all and saw it play out the wrong way. They're more qualified because they failed. They're more qualified because they know what it feels like to be that version of not so good, because that's who they are. I find myself wondering if the Lord makes me relatable to people in certain ways. One of the reasons why I struggle with things I struggle with is so that I can relate, so that I can detect certain things, so that I can see certain things that maybe other people don't see. Whatever it is, our purpose is true, but we got to find balance within it, because if the Lord gave you certain things that you're susceptible to being, and then he get called upon you to be something else as well that's the opposite of all that, you got to understand who you are and then remember what your why is and stay on the right side of what it is you should be doing. Because he gave you the challenge, but he also needs you to be a solution to something. So the challenge that you have, you just got to balance that out. And with what your why is, you should be able to do that. So that's what I'm here to say. It's like, I don't look at myself as a perfect person. And I look in the camera, I hear all of the different things that I say I think I can see to help others, but I'll be the first person to tell you that I have a difficult time helping myself. A beyond difficult time, an embarrassingly difficult time. And I think that makes me qualified to tell you which ways you can and cannot go based on some of the things that I may have done or didn't do. So that's what I try to share. It's like, I think that I'm inherently gifted in being able to articulate myself. And sometimes it may make it seem as if I have it all together. But I just think that the Lord allows me to see things and say things in a way that allows it to be understood. And sometimes wisdom is something that tends to just come out of my mouth, but applying it or remembering why I should sometimes gets lost upon myself. And that's when I have to reel it in. And that's when I have to come back around, get my head right, and do the things that I need to do to get my spirit in order, to get back on that wagon, to get back on the ball, to remember my reasons and my whys. And don't let any of those temptations or any of those negative influences sway you from it. That's my challenge going forward for myself, so that I can keep myself in a position to feel as confident as necessary to do the things that I love to do every day. I think it starts with keeping your standards true so that you can look yourself in the eye and see someone that's trying, if not someone who's already figured it out. But not a hypocrite, not somebody who can't seem to figure out or remember their why when it matters most for them to. So that's what I'm here to say. I want to encourage you guys to remember your why, and also not to look at me as if I'm some holy guy. I'm far from. I've dealt with a lot and am still trying to figure out what's next. It's a lot in life for everybody, and I'm just one person. I think in looking at what took place today, I had never heard of the gentleman who lost his life, Twitch. But the story was all over the news today, and it just really kind of brought me to a place that helped me understand that I've been in that place where I didn't want to be around. Helped me understand that's, people sometimes can smile and look like they're doing very well, but deep down they're really struggling. And sometimes they really need you to see it. That's the part that gets so lost. It's like they really need you to see it, but they're never ever going to tell you that. And then they're going to get to a point where they give up because you never did. We got to start looking for this stuff in people that we aren't necessarily looking for it in, because that's going to save their lives. We've seen it so many times with different comedians. Some of our most talented comedians left us because they just couldn't stand to live behind their own eyes, man. And I just think that there are patterns there to see in different types of traits of people, and maybe we can help somebody. Maybe we can see this coming somehow. Maybe not. I think sometimes people leave the earth because their secrets just got revealed. Sometimes they think their secret's about to get revealed. That kind of thing can make a person do exactly what happened there. So I really don't know what went on. I got a bunch of different things that I think could be possible, but at the end of the day, the story that's in front of us, what looks true, is that he needed somebody to see him. And he needed somebody to see him for who he was, not for what he was doing. And that is difficult. That's difficult because you want to be able to see that. You hope that you're the person that can detect that. Oftentimes, I don't know that there's a way. But if there is a way, I'd imagine it's somewhere in between having your spirit right and remembering your why, as it pertains to being, I guess, what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping that I would be able to find is some type of compassion that would be detected in the midst of trying to keep my mind and my heart away from certain things that would otherwise make me susceptible to looking at things at face value. For example, I'm so wrapped up in my own thoughts and minds of life that I'm not at all considering that there could be something wrong in this person's body language, because I'm too busy absorbed with the fact that they're entertaining me, dancing around for me, making me feel good. What's going on behind his eyes? Is he happy for real? Or is that just a jig? I don't know if we could have detected anything, because I don't know if there was anything to detect at all. But what I can say is there was a million people that looked at him every single day and none of them saw anything. And there may have been something to see. Can we learn from that, or are we destined to see this again? Because I've seen it before. Robin Williams, the first one that comes to mind. One of my favorite comedians. I couldn't believe what ended up being the case there. And I felt like maybe he was dealing with some mental illness. I had understood some things that happened. Maybe that changed his brain activity. Maybe he had some things going medically that changed his brain. And that happens too. We get that. But you just want people to have the encouragement, the other side of that. If your brain is going through something, you want people to have the encouragement and compassion to at least be able to get the help necessary, to at least feel like they got the people next to them to give them something else to consider in those moments, to give them something else to consider. A brain is a brain, man. It just needs something else to consider a lot of the time anyway. I think overall, when I look at that situation with this gentleman Twitch, and I do want to send condolences to him and his family, of course, his children, I become very worried, because I just allow my brain to go in different places, and I could see that he was entertaining us. He was really someone who smiled for a living, who was, just made it a point to make his life look perfect. And that is scary to me now. This is yet another example why that needs to start being scary to us. Because that doesn't need to be the case. You don't have to be perfect. That's the point of me making this video. He didn't have to dance all day long and make it look like his life was 100% solid for us to be entertained by that. He could have came on there and said, I'm not having a good day, and this is what I'm going through, and I think you could help me and I could help you, and we could deal with this together. But a lot of times the stuff that people going through, our society, we won't allow people to talk, man. Some of these things that we don't want to acknowledge are some of the same types of things that our grandparents, they wouldn't acknowledge some of the things that we're allowing to take place right now. People who are dealing with certain types of things that now we celebrate people for. Back then they would shun people for, or worse. I just think we need to start opening our minds and opening our hearts to find solutions to things that don't necessarily have them. Conversations that maybe we just aren't ready to have, because people's truths are just not easy to absorb. But when you start seeing the results of what happens when they don't get them out, you start to realize that that's something that maybe we need to try to evolve in regards to. Maybe more conversations need to be had. Maybe less censoring needs to be taking place, so more people can have outlets to get what's in out, and maybe have their minds changed just the same. Influence can go a lot of different ways, and I think a lot of times we look so much at trying to silence people that we don't realize that once something flies out of their mouth, a retort is coming for them to receive. And maybe that retort only comes if they get a chance to speak. I believe that at the end of the day, a conversation or many might have put Twitch in a position to feel a lot better about whatever day he was having. And if he could have had an environment that allowed him to speak whatever his truth was, however harsh it may have been, we may have been able to not only learn from what it is that he was dealing with, but save his life. I don't assume I have the solutions for that, but I know we're not searching for them in some areas while we're allowing other things to slip through the cracks as if they're just fine, as if they weren't considered mental illness just 30 years ago. Allow us to open our minds to the fact that we can save some lives if we open our minds even further. Not to say that we're allowing everything to be okay, but some people are in dark spaces and they need outlets and they need help, and there's no help. There is none. And they're going to stay in the shadows, and they're either going to do what they're doing in the dark, or they're going to escape this life because they can't stand themselves anymore. That's what I'm aware of. I know that about people. This world can be very, very complicated. It can be very, very harsh, and it can be very, very selective. So that's something I want to think about a lot. I'm thinking a lot about that, because this is what goes on in this world. As I was mentioning in another therapy session, these monsters are created because of a lack of compassion, and that compassion comes by way of these agreements. These agreements that tell us we need to be in this group and love these people, not those people, and some of these people only on this day because of that political reason. It's like, nah. And then these type of things slip through the cracks, and we wonder why things go wrong so bad, so fast. This is where we need to evolve. This is the areas in which we need to study, in my humble opinion. We need to figure these things out. We need to be more effective in our ways of finding these solutions to these problems instead of sweeping them under the rug or handling them after the fact. Can we be proactive in trying to learn some of these patterns so we can be preventative in our measures? This is what I'm asking for. So that's what I wanted to come up here and say. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I was familiar with Twitch. I didn't watch the Ellen show, so I had never seen his face. Never. But his passing disturbed me deeply for a trillion reasons. Only a few of them actually I could even feel confident in saying. But what I can say is it don't feel right. That doesn't feel right. And nobody's questioning it at all but myself. And that doesn't feel right. He's in the industry, man. The same industry that has been plastering all these different things to us. The same celebrities that are highly, highly connected to certain types of political energy. And now this brother just pops up, passed away, and everybody has the nicest things to say about him. And he's just the most weird of circumstances that no one's questioning it but me. I don't like being that guy, because 9 out of 10 times when I'm thinking like this, it probably is nothing. It's probably nothing. But he's in that industry, bro. He's in that. He's dancing around, smiling, and miserable, apparently. He was dancing around 2 days ago with his family, happy as hell. Apparently, now he's... This is to be questioned. Just like the Miles Bridges thing I said was to be questioned, I'm telling you, this is to be questioned. Something's off. Something's off. The timing, who he is, who's celebrating him, how they're celebrating him, all of it is too clean. It's too clean, and the timing and how they've been operating, I look at everything that comes from them people funny now. They can't sell me nothing anymore. It's all, I look at it all a certain way after all that Kanye and Kyrie stuff. Anything that comes from those publications and from that area looks funny because they don't seek balance. They seek political understanding. And with that, especially with the timing, no. Something's off. But that's just me, man. That's why I put these things in therapy sessions. I would never attach his name to it. Say, oh, conspiracy. No. I'm not one that believes much in sacrifices or any of that stuff, that celebrity sacrifice, none of that. I'm not one that subscribes to that very often. But sometimes it just looks away. However the case, I approach this video with the intention of hoping that people understand that you don't have to hide behind whatever it is that you're hiding behind. Even though the world is telling you you probably should. Truth is ultimately what you need. The truth will ultimately allow you to be at peace with yourself and not be the demon that you're becoming, whatever it may be, if you're in the shadows. The world that doesn't allow you to help you with that is the world that needs to change, just as you do. And that's something that I'm hoping I can influence somehow with my voice, because I see that angle. As someone who's been in spaces that are dark, as someone who's been left alone with someone who was sick, I know you need outlets for that. And it's many people, I mean many of them, who they will never tell us why they killed themselves, and we will never ask. But I know sometimes it has to do with stuff like that. And at the end of the day, man, we need to find ways to heal one another, heal the world, not let those who've given us agreements keep us from being solutions to real problems. And when you start looking at it like that, and you know they've been doing it in other areas, you got to fathom that they've been doing it in others as well, that you do not see. We got to heal each other of every sickness we got. All of them, especially the ones that are unthinkable and unheard of. We got to find a way to find some understandings of reading these patterns of these people and the various things that are going on, whether it be people who are performing the suicide or anything. We just got to get better at reading energy, not ignoring it, like those behind the curtain tend to try to coerce us into doing. I also want to share something else. Some of the people that I've been praying for, blessings are starting to hit their lives, and I feel like I've been attacked at the same time. Things are starting to happen, and I feel like my life, the person that I'm trying to become, I feel like I'm being kicked around while the Lord is starting to finally make moves. So that's another reason why I wanted to come to you guys and just tell you, we all face a continued strive for perfection within ourselves, strive toward being better. And what you can't do is let a mistake beget more mistakes, or let a mistake beget more of a doubt within yourself that coerces you into making the wrong decisions and forgetting your why. When you're winning the game, don't pull back, as we were saying about the Lakers. When you have the lead, to keep doing what it takes to win. The things that got you there will get you home. And that is the same parallel here in regards to how we manage ourselves. The same things that will get you to your best self will get you through this life, through every single temptation and through every other attack that may come your way. Remember your why. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.